Hello, everybody, and welcome to Torch Snuffers. I am your host, Colin Connors. You may have noticed that you cannot see my beautiful face. It's not because I have suddenly grown ugly. It's because Google Hangouts is being a giant pain in the butt. So we're reverting back to the old ways of past seasons, and we are doing this on Skype and recording Skype. And yet, modern man technology has not found a good way to record Skype videos with everyone's input for free. That's something we should fix. But Skype aside, there was a fantastic episode of Survivor tonight, and I'm not just here by myself to pontificate about it. I'm joined by three wonderful people. The first being the super amazing Alex Cash.
Hey.
The always amazing Ben Millier.
Hi, friends.
And the very beautiful Stephen Lehman.
Thanks.
All right, so we do have a bit of a smaller group. That's because there was some major kind of issues tonight, just with all sorts of crazy stuff. But we have so much to talk about. But actually, Dewey, because this is something that I wanted to ask all three panelists about. Loved One episodes, they're interesting because they do show a more humanizing side of all the Survivor players, but we actually don't get that much strategy. I mean, I have 3 notes for the whole episode up until minute 45. So I'm going to ask every panelist this, but Alex, I'm going to start with you. Is the fact that Loved Ones take away from the gameplay, is it worth the trade-off?
I think it is, just because, like, it's a reminder that these aren't just, robotic chess pieces that happen to be on an island. And I think it was all right in this instance, especially because not that much changed from the last episode in terms of strategy until, minute 45. So it's not like they had that much to cover anyway. So might as well, humanize the people that are going to be making the home stretch.
But in the grand scheme of things, you are pro Loved Ones, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because we have this debate every season. I think we always wind up on the pro side, but I want to hear if anyone's opinions changed. Ben, what's your thoughts?
I'm on the pro side, absolutely. Like, this is really the only episode that we get for any season where everybody gets a bit of humanization. And I like that because it gives... Like, I'm just an empathetic person in general, but also because it allows us to even see the people who have been kind of portrayed as villains or as people that haven't been seen, and allows them a dimension if they haven't had one, or if they have many that aren't liked, you at least get to see a redeeming, piece of who they are. And I think that this season, nothing really happened in terms of the 3 days in which the Loved Ones occurred, but other seasons there has been. I think it's also based off of what action actually occurs. Like, it was a very cut and dry episode in terms of the vote, so...
And I think that's a very, very good point. If there was a lot of crazy behind-the-scenes drama and suddenly, Brett gets voted or Sunday gets voted, something completely random for no reason, we'd be pissed. But it seemed to work in an episode like this. Steven, but the only kind of question I have is, throughout this season, the editing's been really good, and we have been seeing this 3-dimensional versions of these players. So is the Loved Ones Loved One visit still necessary to flush out everything, or?
Yes.
Yes, all right.
Character development always trumps strategy every day of the week.
I don't know. I disagree with the premise of that. I think you need to have a hell of a lot of both, because just having interesting people voting each other out would be interesting for 1 or 2 seasons. But I think
that was the original premise. So
it was the original premise, but the game has changed since then.
Well, yeah, but
and the game has taken a more strategic side. I think you definitely need both, but oftentimes I think they err on the side of showing too much gameplay and not enough humanization. But we would all agree, though, this season has a great mixture of both, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, does anyone have any other comments they want to make about Loved Ones the first 30 minutes of this episode? Because I feel like we kind of... I mean, it was great to see... go ahead, Alex.
Adam was absolutely right to give away the advantage. That was the number one thing that you can do with it, is to, give it to somebody else. So, A, you don't have to use it, and B, they feel like they got something out of it.
Very, very good. I like that. So, does anyone else think that maybe, just maybe, Adam knew before even going into the challenge he wasn't going to use that advantage, and that how good that would look optically for a jury? Because I think if he knew he stole someone's Loved One advantage, shit would hit the fan. But do you think he was that smart and he's playing that level of Survivor where he was like, oh my god, if I don't use this advantage and make a big deal out of it, everyone will love me? Alex, you nodded your head yes.
Yeah, because I mean, it felt like a speech rather than just hey guys, like, because if that was the case, then it would have been done a while ago.
Okay. Ben, what do you think? Do you think Adam is playing this amazing 3D, 4D chess game where he figured out a long time ago, like, hey, I'm going to make people think I'm going to use it during the loved ones, but I'm not actually going to do it?
Do I think he's playing this sort of masterful game? No. Do I think that he pre-planned that? Yes.
Okay.
I think that he did very well at coming off very... I think it was very authentic. Like, I think that he was very authentic with why he, like, did it, but there was definitely pre-planning, and definitely was so that he could get a strategical leg up, especially giving the his advantage away after the fact. That was honestly a really smart move.
And I think we're like, Steven, are you going to stay here and say it's not because we like to argue?
No, I'm gonna agree. I think it was a smart move. I think Adam was very authentic about it. I think, I can't really disagree with what's been said. So yeah.
Yeah, and because I was going through my head when the moment he said I can't use the advantage, I was like, holy shit! Oh, that is so smart. Okay, so on the other side of Adam being almost, I would say, arguably a hero with this, one of the earliest confessionals we got from Zeke was him basically saying like, oh, this tribal was so great, blah 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 blah. However, it felt really, really out of place because throughout this whole season, he's really been maybe not 100% sympathetic, but very likable, if that makes sense. So, Steven, why do you think they tried to do a last-minute villain twist on Zeke? Was it so that his boot would go over a little bit easier, or...
I honestly don't know. I thought that the way Zeke's downfall happened was actually kind of weird because, like, oh, he's great, and then last episode, oh, no, he's a douche. And then, like, this episode, it's like, oh, he's gone. It was just a really weird trajectory for me. Like, we have, 9-ish episodes of us, like, building him up as this likable guy. Episode 10, he turns into kind of a D-bag, and then he's gone. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was a bizarre...
I think they're trying to justify his boot, in my opinion. Alex, what do you think?
I would say that, his edit has not been as consistently positive as it looks in hindsight right now, because I remember thinking in episode 2, like, he's excited to go to tribal council. Yeah. He's about to get blindsided. And in episodes 3 and 4, Adam got more focused than he did. So I think he got some good lines in and he got some good visibility, but he wasn't always the juggernaut in terms of edit that, we'd been thinking is for the past few weeks. So I think this was more in line with the way he'd been portrayed than I think you are thinking it is.
And I think that's a very fair point, because the editing this season has been amazing at showing everyone's flaws, because I think David has the most confessionals, and we view him as this, honestly a human being. He seems very flawed. He's made some really good moves. He's made some shitty moves. Ben, what's your take on, I want to hear real quick about David and Zeke from you.
I agree with the whole... Zeke's progression in the game was based off of how visible he was at every point in the game. Like, he was part of the outcast for the first couple of episodes, so he was a piece of a very large arc. Then he was the best player pre-merge into the first round or two of the early merge, and he was the most influential. So his visibility grew, but it's just a matter of him getting taken out just as quickly as he was able to succeed. Mm-hmm. I think it was just based off of how he actually was important in those rounds. With David, I agree more in a sense. Like, I feel like his visibility has shown that he is, like, I've totally lost my train of thought.
It's all right. Well, and I think what's interesting about that, and what the big thing the listeners need to take away is, even though Zeke didn't win, he still had a huge impact on the first part of this game, whether it him being the outcast or him controlling some of the rounds. So in a way, his edit, the wonkiness of it, is actually completely justified, because Survivor's a wonky game and all that shit. Steven, agree or disagree real quick before we move on to the next person?
Yep.
Okay, so someone else was starting to get a little bit of a superhero edit at the beginning of the episode, and then his edit went to complete shit. And Ben, I'm jumping back to you on this, because me and you have been talking about Ken this entire time, because we've been on the same wavelength. Viewers, listeners, Ben hates me, but we kind of agree that Ken's positiveness has been somewhat forced on us. And then in this episode, he was given a couple really nice confessionals, and then he just fucking ruined everything. So what the fuck is going on with Ken?
They showed I think they showed Ken for who he was. I think he is a positive person, but at the end of the day, he showed that when he actually is in the line of fire, and especially because he has this motivation with his daughter, when he's actually in the line of fire, he combusts and makes a complete ass of himself immediately when he hears that he is on the chopping block.
And I mean, he was successful in getting his name off the chopping block. But I want to say is this: I believe, Steven, me and you had this disagreement a while ago. I said I came out with the premise that Ken's social game wasn't actually that good. I think it was in regards to the Figgy Brood episode, or it might have been it was to the Lucy Brood episode.
Yeah, the Lucy Brood.
I said Ken's social game wasn't that good, and I kind of got tarred and feathered for that. I think his social game isn't that good. I think he has a lot to be desired. Can you defend him in any way?
No, I think that he basically, like it's been said, he is a positive person. When he is in the line of fire, he combusts. And I don't want to say he's a little shisty or slimy, but I always revert back to his cast video where he talks about winning the money so he and his daughter can help the homeless. And I'm always thinking to myself, no 4-year-old daughter is like, let's help the homeless with our money, Dad. But I like Ken though. But
at least admit that I'm right, because you were saying his social game was. You saying I read it wrong.
I think Ken is one of those people who excels in a tribal stage, because in a group setting you need that sort of positive presence. I think in the individual stage, Ken's, I don't want to say positivity, but maybe his air gets to be a little bit much. So I think he's one of those players that really would excel pre-merge about 95% of the time, but merge maybe a different story.
And something else is that, Alex, and you want to talk about Ken also real quick, is up until tonight's episode, I assumed that if Ken made it to the end, he would win the game. I'm not actually 100% sure of that now.
Yeah. So you tossing it to me?
Yeah, I'm tossing it to you.
Okay. So yeah, because when I having watched the online scenes and confessionals, there have been several times when the way that Ken has spoken about people, for example, when he would talk about a challenge win and talk about it in terms of proving one's masculinity, or just talking about how arrogant somebody is when he's sort of projecting that same air by the way he's very oddly poetic and aloof and stuff like that. There were several times when I'm like, if they wanted to bury him in the edit, they could put the right music with this and make it happen. And it got to the point where I was surprised that they weren't doing it, and then it just happened. So yeah, I thought he was more of a winner contender, just based on the way he was getting protected in the edit.
And that's kind of how I felt too. I mean, Ben agreed with us that they were forcing this goodness. And I'm not saying Ken is a bad guy. I'm saying he's bad at the game of Survivor. And I just want to make that abundantly clear.
Absolutely.
And I just want to point out, Ben and Alex both nodded in agreement. I'm not sure if Steven did too.
I'm half there with you. I think he's good pre-merge, post-merge, and not as much.
Right. So we'll see. So we got Ken out of the way. Let's bitch about the immunity challenge. Once again, another stationary endurance. We have been giving this season verbal BJs over how much we've liked the challenges. And this is, how many stationary endurance challenges have there been for immunity? Is it all of them but one so far?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Why are they doing this? Anyone can answer. Is it just to save money? Let's be real.
The thing is that they've been doing this since Worlds Apart.
Yeah.
It's that old, and I think it's born out of some sort of misguided notion that there are some challenges that only certain kinds of people, or you need a certain level of athleticism to win. Mm-hmm. And so I think in an effort to sort of smooth that out, they've sort of limited themselves unnecessarily to a certain type of challenge, whereas I think the fairest thing to do would be to have one of every kind of challenge.
And I think I agree with that. I mean, come on, if we want to be something that's not athletic, have the gross food challenge, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but at least it's something fucking new. Ben, come on, bitch about it real quick about these endurance challenges. They're not awful to watch, but I'm kind of tired. I'm tired of seeing really great reward challenges, and then immunity is like, okay, hold a log. Ben?
No, I wanted to just pause because I appreciated that.
Ben appreciated that.
Yes, that's what I said. I think that the challenges, especially the immunity ones, it's unfair to a certain degree. I feel because even endurance challenges like that favor a certain type of person. So to have that type of challenge repetitive over and over again, you have seen the same contenders in the top half of the immunity challenges every time, and that's because these standing stationary endurances favor a certain person. Like, you're not going to see a Sunday like win a challenge like that.
Exactly. And then Alex, you want to make a quick point before we moved on to the meat of this episode?
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with regards to the challenges is that it also makes it simultaneously more likely and less impressive when people go on immunity runs, because like, for example, in Blood versus Water, Monica won like 3 or 4 immunity challenges, but they were all the exact same kind of immunity challenges. Yeah. When Ozzy won like 5 in a row, they were all different.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, it just feels really weird because Survivor has been so fucking good the past few seasons that just this little imperfection of immunity challenges seems to be kind of hindering. Because, I mean, it's still a great show, still a great episode, but we see the challenge layout and we just go, oh, mashed potatoes, or oh, damn. All right. So we had the wonderful Adam win. Steven, is Adam getting a winner's edit? Is he getting the flawed postmodern Survivor winner's edit? Because we've seen his flaws, we've seen his human side, we're seeing fucking everything with him.
I don't know if Adam has a winner's edit per se. I definitely think he's making it to the finale, which of course, because that's 2 weeks away. Mm. But anyway, I think
it's
Adam
2 weeks away and we still have like 30 people left, but that's
yeah. So real quick, I did the math on this, and now we have to have one person voted out every day to hit final 3. So yeah, that's a thing. But with Adam, I don't necessarily see him winning. I could see him being like a journey, like final juror sort of thing, where we have sort of in the vein of like my personal favorite, Kathy Vravic O'Brien, sort of in that same vein of he's a bit of an outcast at first, finds his footing, they show his flaws, but he I don't necessarily say redeems himself, but he definitely improves, and then he looks like he's going to do it, and at the last second.
This is kind of where I'm having this mental conundrum, Steven, because Adam does fit the 4th place or 2nd place archetype, but Alex, who the fuck wins then? David? Like, that's where I'm having this trouble. It almost reminds me of Kagian, where I can't feasibly really imagine anybody winning because they've all been portrayed as such flawed people.
Yeah, and yeah, like I think David is the next most plausible.
But do you think Adam is the main contender now?
Yeah, because on the like. It's the kind of thing where I sort of see like a little bit of the Tyson kind of thing with him, where he has the component where he has the loved one that he's, fighting for, Rachel / his mom. He has the fatal social flaw, and he has the surfeit of people that he could still probably win against.
And that's fair. Ben, I want to hear your thoughts. Like, just on Adam, and is he kind of default now the most likely to win? Oh, Ben, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, I heard typing.
There we go.
Yep, he's unsilent now.
I'm unsilent now. I kind of see Jay as more of a contender than Adam at this point. So I feel like Jay is more likely because he has like the overcoming the odds like at the bottom and made his way up to the top and took advantage of, like, got his way through. Like, I think that Jay is more likely to win. I feel like in the current situation, it is one of those things where both Jay and Adam will go far, possibly to final tribal, and it will be like Jay beating Adam.
That's very fair. But which one of us was saying to watch Jay episode 1 and 2? Which one of us was that? That was me.
Alicia.
Fuck you, Steven. Okay. And I think I like that Ben. I like that you brought up Jay because he wasn't given a huge edit this episode, but he's still in it. He still has an idol, and he was shown to be extremely humanized out of everyone else, including great confessionals about, speaking positive of Adam, which of course reflects really good on him. Will. So before we shit all over Will for wanting to do the whole, I need to make a big move, that's how I win Survivor, one thing needs to be said. Zeke, Brett, Sunday, they had to have been doing something wrong in their social game for Will to feel that isolated. And that's something I'm surprised no one else seems to be talking about or didn't even get brought up in the episode. Why the hell didn't they make Will feel more welcome? I mean, Jay did, but Will, backstab Jay. But why did they lack that necessariness? Like, why couldn't Zeke, as smart as he could be, realize, like, hey, maybe I need to talk to Will more? Alex, go ahead.
I think it's the kind of thing where, on the one hand, they, I don't know about from their perspective, but I'm thinking of it from Will's perspective, because I don't necessarily think that he needed to, I think from his perspective, I don't think he needed to be left out of the decision-making process to feel like he was being left out of the decision-making process, because I think that if, he's thinking in terms of, you have to call the shots to win. Otherwise, he would not have let himself be put squarely in the middle at Tribal Council and let the entire thing devolve into, please, one side, other side, beg for your lives to me. That kind of thing. So I think he was looking for more control than was wise. And
I agree with you on
a
that.
Temper tantrum, essentially. I think that's something that was, I'm not necessarily unavoidable, but harder to avoid than just saying, oh yeah, and you have a part to make in the decision-making process too.
But even with that being said, though, not recognizing that Will is 18, I think did hurt Sunday Jay in the after aforementioned list, and realizing that, hey, he could do something kind of erratic. It's like being in alliance with Abby Maria. We saw it in Second Chance, where it was like everyone was like, oh, I can control her. Never mind, she's erratic, and she fucking stabbed me in the back. Ben, real quick.
Yeah, I think that his decision making was guided on the fact that if he stuck where he was, he knew that he was playing very much behind both Zeke and Jay in terms of game if they were to go to that final five, what they were looking for. I think that what he was looking at is ensuring that he was seen as the person that was making a move into a crowd of people that he could get to the end with who couldn't speak as much to being seen as a good player. The only other person he could contend with in that group would probably be David in terms of his mind where he was thinking on the island.
And that's very fair, but I guess, Steven, and you can talk more about Will's psychology, but my question is this. Why the fuck wouldn't Will just wait one round? Because if he waits one more round, he would have even more power. And then David's out of the game.
Wait, so you're saying... I'm just making sure I get this right. You're saying he should have waited until final...
No, he should have done it at Final 7, I mean. Even more. I think he should have picked off David and possibly Ken, and then...
And then he has 2 to flip. 2.
Yeah.
So it'd be 4-3 even if he flipped.
Hold on, I'm trying to say. In my head, I worked it out earlier. I'm just saying, I didn't think this was the best time for Will's to flip. I thought it was too early. I worked it out earlier, but you caught me on that.
So real quick, assuming he does it, it's 4-4 now. If he picks off 2, it's 4-2. If he it's 5-2. If he flips, it's 4-3. So he'd have to pull someone with him. But that being said, I don't want to say I have a problem with his gameplay. I think the problem I have is more with his philosophy of it, where I never, just as a sort of aside, I've never liked the idea that you have to make big moves to win. I think it's outdated, obsolete.
And real quick, Steven, just to emphasize that point, Michelle fucking won last season, and she didn't do anything completely amazing. She just read the room and played the game of Survivor. Same thing with Sophie. So it's Probst keeps saying big
Sophie
moves.
had a big move, and that was making sure Coach was her bitch. As
Well,
much as I love
you know
her.
what I mean, Steven. You provided your own thesis, and now you're defeating it by itself. And I
No,
think,
I know, but-
you know, but you know what I mean.
But I'm saying you don't have to have like this. You don't have to make flashy moves, basically.
Exactly.
And I mean, we saw that with Australian Survivor, but with this, I just don't know what Will was thinking. He was like, it was sort of like Sarah Lacina on steroids.
And real quick,
He was in a great spot.
Alex pointed
well,
out,
no.
Jeff, real quick, and this is something that's kind of how I felt, which is that Jeff does think any flashy move is a big move, when in reality, a big move could being Michelle and, you know, shutting the fuck up as everyone else destroys themselves. Anyways, go ahead, Steven.
What was I going to say? I don't even remember what tangent I was on, but long story short, I think Will jumped ship too early. I think now, if he wants to flip back, it's going to be rocks. I think I don't want to like be psychological here, but I think Will was more concerned with being the top dog rather than waiting to, because so if we play this out, he gets to final 5.
Well, we don't need to go into all that detail, but what you did was you hit the very good point though, which was that Will's psychology that was motivating him was he wanted to be the top dog.
Yeah.
Which that's because he's fucking 18-year-old and he's 18-year-old and I'm saying that right now because here's the thing. If he's a Survivor superfan, he knows that being a top dog is not necessarily always the big thing. And what was his big move? It was taking down the top dog. Being the top dog position is not necessarily where you want to be. Alex, did you want to chime in real quick on this?
I think I already did. I don't know what else to add.
Ben, is there anything else to add in this? I mean, Will's acting up. I think he's completely boned next episode, and then I actually think the rest of that alliance is boned too, and that's why we might have a double boot episode, so we actually can mathematically get to the finale in time. But Ben, did you want to add anything else?
I think that it was a case of him wanting to play a game, and he played it too quickly for his own good, and he played based off of him being a super fan and going at too quick a pace, as many as super fans make the mistake of doing because we analyze the game so much. And I think he just played his cards 2 rounds too soon.
And see, Ben, that's why I think I'm going to do well, because I may be a super fan, but I'm kind of dumb. So when it hits my mind to make the move, it'll be the exact right time instead of being too early like all you other super fans. Alex, real quick.
One other thing I wanted to point out is that I think part of it might also be sort of psychologically speaking, more to do with chronologically the number of days left than anthropologically the number of people remaining, because like in last week's scenes I didn't do a video because 90% of them were just, oh, we had a reward challenge today, and it wasn't enough to do much with. But like there was also a lot of, we're getting towards the end, I got to start winning immunities,
and we're hearing
and it's
that a
like
lot.
It's day 30. Yes, it's day 30, but there's still 10 people left. That's not towards the end, but I think it creates the atmosphere of towards the end, and I think it's making people make moves too early because it feels like a time crunch.
And you know what? I actually really like that. I would love to see a huge written out thesis about like when big moves takes place in Survivor relative to the numbers of days and number of players left. So we do blame this fucking hurricane or monsoon or whatever, or was it typhoon that set the calendar back, but there's 8 people now, so we still have a whole lot of game left to play. My thesis, or not thesis, my idea is that Will goes next week and then followed quickly by Brett and Sunday in a double episode group. Does anyone else see anything happening besides that? Does anyone else see a boat being rocked in some way? Because I think Will's completely screwed.
I think off chance, small one at that, they go to rocks again next week because Will is like, oh shoot, I gotta flip back, but I doubt it.
You doubt it? Ben, are we about to enter that boring, predictable part of the show, which for this season it would only be 1 or 2 episodes, but...
Oh, right, because there's only 2 episodes left.
There's more than 2, though, right?
No, it's the 7th and the 14th.
Yeah.
So oh my fucking god.
So double boot basically has to be next week, or
Double
we have a
boot,
final 7
and then
finale.
final 6 finale like Cambodia. That's
Ooh.
the only way they can do it.
That's messy.
Or they could do a final 7 finale, which would actually be terrible. But
I'm trying.
Yes, so terrible. Please don't.
Yeah, please don't. All right, so we're getting close to the end. I want to thank. It is very interesting. I wish maybe they would say, "Hey guys, we're adding 3 more days to this because it's still a giant mess." Hannah is still going to win, obviously, because I have a giant crush on her, and I didn't get a chance to talk about her.
We didn't even talk about her.
Yeah,
she's still amazing. Yeah, I don't want to talk about her because I don't want you guys getting jealous of my infatuation with her. Because I show her more love than I've ever shown anybody that's ever been on this
that is very true.
this talk show. All right, so I want to thank Alex, I want to thank Ben, I want to thank Steven so much for joining.
Yay!
Yay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.